Through the history of mankind, almost nothing has been pursued quite as passionately and recklessly as flight. Whether it be witches sacrificing newborn unbaptized children, obsessed scientists throwing themselves off a cliff with flying devices, or idolizing divine beings like angels with wings of their own. Today, with airplanes being so accessible and cheap, we take flight for granted, and it's almost unfathomable that people could be this consumed by it back in the day. But only a couple of centuries and even decades ago, it was almost unheard of, or at the very least reserved for the richest elite. And with that in mind, it's a little bit easier to understand the writer's obsession with mounting bats. Batrider is a hero in Dota 2 and Underlords who is basically a redneck cowboy, except bat instead of cow, and arson instead of incest. He is from a farm near the Yama Raskav Jungle, and he is a troll. I have a video about Dota trolls and their general biology and culture linked in the top right corner if you want to know more about them, but this video is specifically about Batrider. The writer was only a boy when the morde-bat snatched him up in the air. But despite his young age, he was already a courageous and capable chap and managed to wriggle his way free from its claws and onto the bat's back. From there, he used his tools to bring the bat down and kill it, but when grounded, found himself forever changed by the incident. Every summer, he would return to his family's field, where he had originally been attacked by the bat, in hopes of experiencing it again. Every year, he got more and more obsessed with his goal and went further and further into the Yama Raskav Jungle. And then, after many years of trial and error and adventure, finally, he found the cave of the morde-bats. Perhaps it was his burning desire for flight, flaming passion for his goal, and unquenchable determination over the years that would make the writer have such an affinity for fire. Or maybe he was always a pyromaniac. Either way, no one can deny that he had guts and a wildness to him almost unmatched in the hero pool in Dota that led him to enter the cave of morde-bats and fly again. His current standard bat is a female called Hoss, which he has had since she was a baby.
I remember when you were barely a rat with wings. Now look at you. Hoss here has a two-stroke engine. Gotta pet her twice to get her going.
But in his cosmetics, we can see that he has mounted many different morde-bats, other kinds of bats entirely, and even birds. He also tamed a flame bat, whose tarry, flammable blood he taps to use in battle. The morde-bats are native to the Yama Raskav Jungle, where Batrider is from. The jungle must be huge, because Batrider doesn't mind starting fires to catch his enemies hiding in the bush. The jungle's flora and fauna is known to be harsh and unforgiving, where only the strongest persist, so that should be an indicator of how capable the Batrider is. Of all the dangerous tribes and wildlife in the jungle, he is the one you should fear the most. Other jungles he has been to includes the acid jungle of the GD Isle, which you may recognize from Venomancer's lore, and the Felstrath jungle that was featured during TI9 and the overgrown Empire terrain. He has also been far north and even tamed a manta ray. Okay, so he's good with animals, whether it's out of love or fear, but what about fellow heroes? It comes as no surprise that Hubgen from Underlords loves Batrider, since they are both fiery agents of chaos who love to destroy things and spread discord. Another fairy I'm surprised doesn't get along with Batrider though is Dark Willow.
I'll be honest, Batrider, I hate it when you talk, but I respect that you take care of your mount.
Dark Willow and Pangolier seem to think he's annoying, and people in general seem to find him kind of weak.
Do not take this as an insult, but why does the bat put up with you?
For God's sake, you're a twerp that rides a bat, not Nevermore.
Most ally voice lines are either respecting his flight or fire usage.
Your flying horse is quite impressive.
Come on, Batrider, let's set the world on fire.
And rival voice lines are usually just flying or fire heroes talking smack, calling him inferior, or nature heroes mad at him for burning the forest.
These skies belong to dragons, Batrider. Learn to walk!
Your fire lacks discipline.
Batrider, I prevent forest fires.
Batrider flirts a lot with all sorts of female heroes, but he's especially endeared by Lena, who he has 3 lines for. And that's probably because she's a fire hero, like himself.
Aw, Lena, I was hoping you'd be my back warmer. I'm not speaking ill of Lena when her ashes are still warm. Damn, Lena, I carried such a torch for you.
He has a cheesy voice line for basically every female hero, including Broodmother and Spectre. He's only missing those who were released after himself.
Oh, Queenie, in another life we'd have been soulmates. I just know it. Drow Ranger, don't be a stranger. Oh, now, Windrunner, you don't have to run from me. I know vengeful chicks rule. They also die. I gotta say, Enchantress, you are spunky. Spectre, I have no idea what you just said, but I could listen to you all day. Crystal Maiden, you were a tall glass of ice water. Always a pleasure being stalked by the Templar assassin, Death Prophet. I'm the one your vision's been warning you about, Marana. I think your ride and mine have a thing for each other. Broodmother, if you weren't already... never mind. I wish I could have got a better look at you, Phantom Assassin.
Other heroes he talked to is, among other things, dragons who he wants to mount, such as DK, Viper, and Jakiro.
Oh, Viper, and I was gonna take you out for a spin.
He also has a voice line for Faceless Void.
Hey Void, have you seen Back to the Future?
Which is a reference to the movie Back to the Future. Oracle's voice line for Batrider.
I see a hero caught and hauled in ligatures of flame, and I hear a faint yee-haw.
Likely just means that Batrider's own end will be from his own flames. Not even arsonists are immune to burns. Or it just means that he sees an enemy in flames, and by the faint yeehaw he means that the culprit is Batrider. Either way, a pretty weak prophecy in my honest opinion. In Dota 1, Batrider was also a troll who had left the typical troll Batrider kamikaze style for a more creative and precise technique using fire and a lasso. His concept art in early development shows that while they were decided on him being a Batrider, the rider's design was not figured out at all. His first hero icon is almost unrecognizable. The Batriders from Warcraft and our Batrider from Dota 2 may be based on a very peculiar weapon from World War II with codename X-Ray. When the Americans were researching ways to deal with the Japanese, they ironically enough started developing a kind of suicide airborne weapon. It was the inventor Dr. Adams who had the idea, because bats who reside in human civilization often retreat to dark places and hard-to-reach corners. So they were planning on unleashing hundreds of bats at once from the air, which had bombs attached to them that would go off after 30 minutes. And while one bomb wasn't meant to do that much damage on its own, the idea was that many small explosions would devastate an entire area all at once. Bats were easy to keep in hibernation, in a dark, cool container they could drop from the sky, and the bat kind they were using was capable of holding twice their own weight. During a test, they discovered it was very successful, and when a few bats escaped, the damage on their own property was huge. So the weapon was incredibly potent and would maybe have been instrumental in winning the war if it hadn't been discontinued. But fortunately for the bats, and unfortunately for the Japanese, the Americans abandoned the idea for the atomic bomb instead. The bat bombs and Project X-Ray is just one example of how the real-life history is really weird and almost more far-fetched than many fantasy stories. And while the Warcraft and Dota 1 Batriders aren't directly an adaptation of this weapon, they're probably heavily influenced by it. Batrider is one of those heroes who maybe doesn't have the most intricate lore, sad backstory, or overpowered abilities. He is often regarded as one of the weakest heroes lore-wise. But his behavior and design here and now is still really cool, and I can't wait to see what relationship he may have with Snapfire, who is also based on American culture. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Extra special thanks to my dear patrons, whose support helps me increase the quality of my videos. Until next time, peace!